This segment is called Consult Your Doctor because, of course, you should not take our advice. We are not medical professionals. Please consult your doctor before doing anything that will harm your health because that's what's going to happen if you consult your doctor. Your health is going to get harmed.
Well, you're there because your health is harmed and you're desperately, innocently seeking for help. And it's just
very naively.
Very naively. So
just kidding, kind of. I found this article and I wanted to talk about it, Jordan. I thought it was really interesting. How going to bed at the same time every night is more important than getting 7 hours per night. Now,
I completely believe this.
I believe that too. And that's
personal experience.
Yes. And I think that's why I've been frustrated thinking that I need to go to bed so quick because I saw this article and I was like, God, I know that's true. I know that's right. Because if I go to bed at 10, like last night I went to bed at 10, I've been tired all day.
Yeah.
Because I still woke up at like 4:30.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's weird. I think just having that habit of sleep. You sleep, you wake up at the same time, you kind of eat at the same time, you do all this, you exercise around the same time.
Your body just knows what to expect.
Yeah.
7 hours is an optimum length of time you should be asleep. But research has long found that those who sleep between 6 and 8 hours a day are less likely to develop a host of diseases and maybe even live longer. But what about bedtime? Surprisingly, recent research suggests that maintaining a consistent sleep routine could be more beneficial than more time in a slumber. In general, sleep schedules are important because our bodies work best when they're able to anticipate what's coming rather than simply reacting to it. I thought that made a lot of sense.
That makes a lot of sense in a lot of aspects of life.
Mm-hmm. Your body is anticipating the rest happening at a certain time. So if that's always moving around, a lot of the things that happen as a result of sleep don't happen or aren't as effective because your brain is not entirely sure when it's coming. So it almost puts you in sort of this anxious state.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And a study published in the Journal of Sleep found that keeping a regular sleep routine reduced the risk of early death by 20%. 20%. The researchers also noted that while the amount of time spent sleeping was important, shorter, more regular sleep was associated with a lower risk of early death than longer sleep with inconsistent bedtimes. And I found that to be true because like when I wear my watch and it tells me how long I've slept and it says like you were asleep for 5 hours last night, even though like you're in bed for like 7 hours, the amount of time you actually were asleep, I guess, is 5. And I'm like, what? But I go to bed at a consistent time, so I feel more rested than I would.
So this is saying the researchers also noted that while the amount of time spent sleeping was important, shorter, more regular sleep was associated with a lower risk. So sleeping less?
It's just saying that if you're sleeping at a consistent time.
But sleeping less. That's
still a less risk of early death than if you were to sleep more, but get less consistent. You don't know when it's going to happen.
That makes sense.
I thought this was really interesting. Throughout the day, the body produces hormones like cortisol, which regulates stress, and serotonin, which controls your mood. In a healthy person, cortisol levels peak at around 8 a.m., which wakes us up, and drops at their lowest at 3 a.m. the next day, before rising back to its peak 5 hours later. Ideally, this 8 a.m. peak will be triggered by exposure to sunlight, if not an alarm. When it does, the adrenal glands and brain will start pumping adrenaline, or maybe like in my case, because I'll like walk in the morning. After noon, cortisol levels start their steady decline, metabolism slows down, and tiredness sets in. Gradually, serotonin turns into melatonin, which induces sleepiness.
Right, and so this is why you shouldn't eat late at night, because your metabolism slows. But this is saying that people are waking up at 8 a.m.? What?
It's saying that that's when you have the most cortisol levels.
So what I've heard is that when it's 8 a.m., or like you should do the hardest thing first because your brain is ready to do something and there's a lot less friction. Whereas if you wait to do the hard thing at like 3 p.m., it's like your brain has made so many decisions that day that it's fatigued, even if you don't feel like it. But I mean, even imagine looking at your phone. Every time you scroll, it's like being at the grocery store. That's why you get so tired at the grocery store when you come home. Because every item you looked at, your brain has assessed that's not important. This is important. That's not important. And you've done it for hundreds of thousands of items that you've looked at.
Man, I always feel stressed out when I get home from the grocery store. That's so true.
Because you've thought a million, and that's why.
And then you got to put everything away.
And that's why people get stressed out when they look at their phone, because they're on Instagram. They're like, that's not an important post. That's important. How many likes did that get? That's not important. That's important. That's important. All they're doing is assessing importance. Whereas people, if you're sitting and reading a book or doing something, you've assessed this book is important one time. Now I'm going to read the words.
Yeah. Okay,
I got
but consult your doctor. Don't just go to sleep at a consistent time every night without
Call
consulting
your doctor and ask
okay?
them.
All right,
when is okay for you to go to sleep and when to wake up.
and ask them if they've got maybe a pharmaceutical medication
that you saw on television during the Super Bowl.
that will help you sleep better.
Exactly.
That's what you need.